Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Olga Bilobran, and I am a senior performance auditor with the Washington State Auditor's Office. Today with me, I have my colleague, Nancy Patino, and this morning you heard your staff present to you the report on dual enrollment scholarship pilot program. Nancy and I will be presenting to you the results of our audit on running start and college in the high school, assessing dual credit transferability. Before we begin, I would like to thank all colleges and universities included in our audit for the information and assistance they provided throughout the audit. I want also to thank the Office of Superintendent of Public Instructions and the Education Research and Data Center for providing valuable information during the audit. Dual credit programs allow high school students to earn credits that can count toward both high school graduation and college-level coursework. Additionally, these programs offer several potential benefits to high school students and their families, such as reducing the time spent in college after high school and potential to save money. Washington offers 6 main dual credit programs in which students earn dual credit by either passing an exam or passing a college course. Their credit is recorded on a college transcript, a name that is used by both colleges and universities. Students can transfer their earned credit when they submit their college transcripts to their enrolled institution, either college or university. College transcripts are not automatically sent from one institution to another due to restrictions set out in the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. When dual credit students submit their college transcripts, institutions evaluated in accordance with state policy on inter-college transfer and articulation and according to institution policies. Having conducted our audit, we found that the main reason students did not receive credit was because they did not submit their transcripts. Most unsubmitted transcripts were for students who had enrolled in college in the high school. When students did submit their transcripts, audited institutions accepted the vast majority of courses with earned credit. We also found that all audited institutions used many practices to communicate with students about dual credit transfer.
Can I ask really quick? Sorry.
Of course.
When you do college, when you submit your just traditional high school transcript, don't all your college and the high school classes automatically show up on that? Or so does that mean those people didn't submit any transcript at all? Or they don't have to submit a separate transcript, right, for college and high school? It just shows up on their main, or how does that work, I guess?
So when students participate in the dual credit program, their classes recorded on high school transcripts and college transcripts. So for them to make sure that their college credit is reviewed, they need to submit that college transcript to the institution that they enroll.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. So the reason we conducted this audit is that some stakeholders have concerns about the extent to which institutions accept dual credit. Dual credit programs would offer much less benefits to students if other institutions do not consistently accept them for transfer. Additionally, little has been done in Washington State recently to evaluate whether institutions of higher education accept credits earned through Running Start or college in a high school. That is why we wanted to know answers to the following questions. To what extent do higher education institutions accept dual credits earned in Running Start and college in the high school? Are there any differences in dual credit transfer rates between higher education institutions? And if they exist, we wanted to know the reasons. We also wanted to know how higher education institutions communicate with students about the transferability of dual credit courses. To answer these questions, we selected 8 institutions of higher education to include in our audit. These institutions represent 4 colleges and 4 universities with varying student enrollment sizes and locations in different regions of the state. To assess the extent to which colleges and universities accept dual credits, we chose a random sample of students who participated in Running Start and college in the high school and enrolled with our audited institutions in fall of 2021. Having reviewed the documentation, we found that the main reason students did not receive credit was because they did not submit transcripts. so institutions were not able to evaluate their credits. During our review, we found that students did not submit about 30% of the expected transcripts. Most unsubmitted transcripts were for students who had enrolled in college in the high school. College in the high school classes are held in the high school alongside regular high school courses, while running start courses take place on a university or college campus. Staff at audited colleges and universities suggested that students enrolled in the college in the high school program may not know that they earned college credit or have a transcript that they can transfer later. We also found that students enrolling at the college were less likely to submit their transcript than those enrolling at the university. When talking to the audited institutions about possible reasons of why students not submit their transcripts, they said that students may have their own reasons for not submitting transcripts. For example, students know they earned grades that do not qualify for transfer, or they know they did not earn credit. Students may also forget to transfer their transcripts or not know how to submit their transcripts. Now Nancy will present more information about our results and the recommendations we are making.
Thank you, Olia. And hello, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Nancy Patino. I am a performance auditor at the State Auditor's Office. Continuing where Olia left off, we found that of the 70% of students who did submit their transcripts to their enrolled institution, an average of 95% of dual credit courses were accepted in our sample. And 7 of 8 audited institutions accepted more than 93% of dual credit courses for transfer. We found that for the most part, audited institutions evaluated and accepted dual credit courses in accordance with their institution's policies and the statewide policy. For example, the majority of accepted courses were assigned course equivalents by the receiving institution, meaning that a course such as Introduction to Chemistry was transferred in as Principles of Chemistry 1. And most rejected courses were not accepted for reasons outlined in the statewide policy as well as the institution's policy. For example, the statewide policy states that institutions can reject courses that are remedial, religious, or fall below a 1.0 GPA. And an institution's transfer policies may include other requirements and reasons for rejection, such as rejecting courses that are vocational or technical, such as personal money management and Microsoft PowerPoint. We also found that Western Washington University accidentally rejected a few courses, but they have since corrected these errors. Finally, we found that Bellevue College had the lowest acceptance rate in our sample of 85% due to 2 policy requirements it applies during the transfer of credit evaluation that align with statewide policy. And more specifically, Bellevue applies residency requirements and considers the applicability of courses during the transfer evaluation process.
Can you, sorry, for the Bellevue College, are those the 2 changes then? It's one is residency related and one is the caliber of the course, or is that
it's applicability of the course. So for example, they will ask a student what their desired degree is, and they will consider whether the transferred courses apply to the degree or not. If they do not, they wouldn't transfer the course. But if a student were to change their degree, they could have their transfer credits reassessed at Bellevue College.
Gotcha.
We also found that all audited institutions use many leading practices to communicate with students. More specifically, we found that audited institutions publicly post their transfer policies online that include information about the types of courses that they accept and do not accept for transfer at their institution. They publish credit transfer courses online, transfer resources online, such as the student transfer rights and responsibilities, as well as equivalency databases. These databases allow students to learn how their transfer courses would be transferred into that institution. They also offer students support in the credit transfer process, such as hosting transfer information sessions during new student orientation and providing advising to students one-on-one. They also clearly describe the credit transfer process online with specific instructions. They send student email reminders to submit their transcripts, and they email students transfer-related decisions once they have completed the transfer evaluation. As mentioned in the previous slide, audited institutions met most leading practices and required practices with few exceptions. 2 universities did not advise students that credits earned at their university may not transfer. 5 institutions did not inform students of their transfer rights and responsibilities. And 2 colleges do not publish equivalency databases online. Finally, I'd like to share the series of recommendations we made to improve communication with students. For Bellevue College and the University of Washington, we recommend that they post or provide a link to Washington Student Achievement Council's Student Transfer Rights and Responsibilities. And for Eastern Washington University, we recommended that they clearly communicate that credits earned through the university's dual credit program may not transfer to other institutions. For Big Bend Community College and Columbia Basin College, we recommended that they work with comparable institutions that do have equivalency databases to determine the best approach to develop and maintain a similar database, and to evaluate funding priorities and decide how to best allocate resources that will enable them to publish such databases online. We also made a recommendation to the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, given that students participating in college and the high school were less likely to submit their college transcripts. We recommended that the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction develop clear guidance for students participating in college and the high school to ensure that they understand that they have earned college credit and have a college transcript, and to distribute this guidance to all school districts. And I wanted to add that before the audit was published, several institutions we audited have implemented some of these recommendations already. And with that, we're ready to answer any questions that you may have.
Can I ask for Eastern, why is it that some of Eastern's college and high school just don't transfer to other courses? Because I thought they were transferable just as much as Central or any other schools.
Yes, you are correct. Eastern Washington University, their credits, dual credits will definitely transfer. There's a leading practices that suggest that students should be made aware that depending on which courses they pick to take, they may or may not transfer. For example, vocational courses may not transfer. I don't think, maybe that's not a good example for Eastern. I don't think they offer vocational, but just to make as a disclaimer for students to be made aware that some credits may not transfer to other institutions.
Okay. Representative Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for this report. As a parent of Running Start students and college and the high school students, it's really informative. I think the senator hit on something. The schools, the transcripts that they receive, the kids receive in schools, they are not official college transcripts. And so a lot of times as a student, you don't know if you've actually achieved the credit, if that credit is through the college or through your school, and sometimes there's a matter of a fee being paid or not paid, et cetera. So I guess the clarification would be great from OSPI to the different schools to say you need to really make sure parents and students are aware. I guess the other thing is, and I don't know if there's a way to gauge it, I know having kids go through dual credit before COVID, lots of those classes did not transfer over. And I think that might have been where some of the conversations with stakeholders came for an audit like this. And then it seems as though we've audited post-COVID. And so that's kind of where these rates are. It's good that they're higher, but I'm wondering if there's a way to gauge more schools than just the ones that you looked at.
I think you're correct. We were not looking at the students and the impact of COVID on their participation in dual credit programs or how those credits were later transferred. we can consider looking at the programs, but some of these recommendations, they need to be implemented first, and like some time needs to pass to for those recommendations to have an effect.
Okay, and I guess I don't know why I'm so stuck on the Eastern Washington recommendation, but I guess some of the anxiety, I think, from maybe those of us who worked on this dual credit, trying to expand it more, is we want to instill in students that it will transfer. Like, that's our whole message, is take these classes, they will transfer. Like, I feel like we're going in the wrong direction if we start putting disclaimers up on their website saying they may not transfer, because then we're discouraging people from signing up for the classes. I don't know, like, how do you, I guess, based on your recommendation, like, how do you find that balance, I guess? Because overall, your report seems to indicate they're transferring. As long as you submit your transcript, they're transferring. So I guess I was just a little surprised to see the recommendation for Eastern to have the disclaimer posted. Or does every other school just have that disclaimer already? And like, is the disclaimer discouraging students from signing up for these college and high school classes?
I would have to go back and look, but I believe the leading practice specifically says that dual credit courses may or may not transfer.
Correct.
Yes. And I think the point of this leading practice is to help students be aware and do their due diligence. So, for example, if a student knows they want to transfer to the University of Washington after 1 or 2 years at Eastern Washington University, they could do some homework, for example, using the equivalency databases to see how certain courses at Eastern would transfer into the University of Washington.
And if I may add, that disclaimer is posted by other institutions as well, the ones that we audited. And the reason is, as Nancy suggested, so the students are aware and have like realistic expectations how their course will be counted at the institution they're applying to. For example, if I participate in Running Start a college in the high school and I take a Japanese class in Japanese language, and then I enroll in an institution where they do not offer that class, then they don't have Japanese language, right? So then that class will be counted toward their general requirements or as an elective. So that's why students have to be aware that some of the classes, they just cannot be transferred for very objective reasons.
Then that example you gave, though, they would still get general credit. They just wouldn't get like course equivalency credit necessary, if that's, which is
correct. Yeah, it will be
helpful.
General credit or elective. Yes. Yeah, it still will be evaluated, but yeah, it depends on each institution where they apply. And that's why those equivalency tables give students a good understanding of how that course they are taking as part of the dual credit program, how it will be transferred to the institution they are enrolling.
Senator Hoskova.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. So I just wanted to go back to, I think the point you raised very early in this conversation is that the college admissions, they look at the transcripts, don't they, of people who are applying, and can't they just like identify? I'm wondering why they require a specific submission request for credits for classes that they took thinking they were for credit, when the college can just look at and see which one classes are actually college in the high school or whatever and should qualify. I know that we spent a lot of time in the past trying to develop these articulation agreements and all these other schemes for more transparency across platforms. I guess this goes back to the One Washington thing, foundation for that question in the previous presentation. Will agencies be able to look back and forth and communicate and evaluate each other's data and make this a more seamless proposal for students to get transfer credits as opposed to, putting additional hurdles in their pathway to success.
I know we have
Thank
other
you for
people on the line too, if you want to have your guys' call from the state auditor's office. I know there are representatives from like OSPI and stuff on the line too, I think, but go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I can answer this question, and then if anybody else want to add anything, please do so. So thank you for your question, Senator. And all the audited institutions, they do post those equivalency tables, and they do reflect how courses transfer from one institution to another. For example, you can look up how your classes that you took in Bellevue College, how they translate to classes that are offered to the University of Washington. But the issue is that the college, those people in the admission office, they will not know whether the student attended college in the high school or any other dual credit program, because there is nothing in the college transcript that would indicate that. College transcript just lists the classes, and they don't know whether that person is a regular college student moving from a different college, or whether it's a student who participated in a dual credit program. Mm-hmm. Those classes are marked as dual credit classes only on the high school transcript, but not on the college transcript. So that's why for colleges and universities to evaluate any credits the student has already earned, students have to submit their transcript that would list all those classes and the credits that they earned, and then those offices can evaluate the credit. But students, again, can use databases to see how those credits will transfer to the institution of their choice.
And Representative Berg has a question, but I think to clarify for the higher ed folks, I think what Senator Hasagawa was saying is if the high school transcript clearly says they took college in the high school, that would flag, hey, maybe we should do some more work to find out why they don't have a transcript yet for those credits. I think
it seems like a pretty simple fix.
Yeah. Okay. Representative Burke.
Sorry, and I just wanted to say it's not probably a simple fix because when a student takes a college and a high school course, it does not mean they're actually taking credit for college in the high school. So that course is simply offered as an option to be colleges in the high school. So as a student and as a parent, on that first day, maybe the fourth day, you get a note saying, would you like to sign up for college credit? The transcript doesn't state that. It simply states that it is offered as college in the high school. So that's why that additional step has to be taken with the university. And it's super annoying. So I agree with my colleagues in the Senate. Like, we should definitely fix that, because as a parent, you don't know, you kind of forget by the time they apply for college, if in 9th or 10th grade, that college in the high school course, did my kid take it for credit? And then this is the other point that I think OSPI and the SAO's office, I don't know if you've identified, but there's potentially, 5 or 6 or 7 colleges by the time a kiddo graduates that they've gotten credit for. And so it's not just a matter of that one French class or that one science class. You're now talking to 3 or 4 different colleges, maybe 5 or 6 if your kiddo's done it since 9th grade. So I wish it was an easy fix, and I'm hoping that we can get to an easy fix, but I think both Senator Hasagawa and Senator Mullet hit on the same point, that as a parent, it's super frustrating. My actual question is about Naviance and the different management systems that we have embedded in most of our school districts, especially the large ones. Is there a way for that equivalency, or does it currently exist for that equivalency tool to live within a system like a Naviance system?
I would refer them to colleges and universities if they can answer the question. Nancy, do you have?
Or OSPI, I think, is on too.
If OSPI might know, because it's a high school system.
Oh, and Jen from Eastern has a comment I noticed as well. Jen, do you want to make that now, or do you want to make it after? Is it?
No, I think it's appropriate at this time. Really appreciate the work that the SAO office completed as part of this, and certainly appreciate everyone's attention and support of higher education options in Washington. Some of the points that have been raised are concerns that the colleges also have talked about, and with the challenge of identifying previously earned college credits accumulated in high school. Those options for institutions to actively track those down are difficult absent some central repository or clearinghouse of information that students are readily providing the information to. And so an earlier speaker made a point that we are only aware that a student was in a course, not that they actually completed the course for college credit in some instances. And so the chance to follow up with those students can be limited. As the auditor's office indicated, there's pretty extensive outreach that occurs to those students, but absent some location where the data would be centralized and standardized for institutions to access, it can become a challenge to identify which institution awarded the credit, whether a credit was awarded, and how the student accumulated those credits over their time in high school. So appreciate the comments and concerns from the elected officials, and that those are often echoed by institutions who are attempting to help students get recognized for all the credits that they have earned during their high school experience.
Excellent. And Tim?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to address some of these concerns. I would really just reiterate what both Jens and Representative Burke have mentioned. College in the high school is challenging because students can take it for credit or not for credit. In order to acknowledge that these students are in fact doing college coursework, even if they are not doing it for credit, we have on our high school transcripts, to answer the earlier question that you had asked, Mr. Chair, we reflect all college in the high school for credit or not for credit on the high school transcript. And so acknowledging that this is a challenge for both colleges to identify whether or not students earned credit in that college in the high school class is a real challenge. Also acknowledging the college's concern that they don't often know at which institution the student was participating in college in the high school. And to Representative Burke's point, students by the end of their 4 years of high school may have taken college in the high school at multiple institutions, combine that with Running Start and a number of other dual credit programs. So the tracking and the need for a repository for this information is really critical. So I'm happy to answer any follow-ups, but I do appreciate the work of the auditor's office in tackling this. And I can say from OSPI's standpoint, we're absolutely committed to following through with the recommendations. We've already begun to message out some of the expectations. One of those is that they begin to identify the college through which college in the high school was accessed on the high school transcript. We have some limitations in terms of how much text we can put in, but we are making that a recommendation, much like we do with Running Start, into guidance that's expected to go out in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. And Representative Berg, did you want another clarification for Tim on your question?
Yeah, so Tim, and thanks for that clarification. The question I had was about Naviance, and I know some school districts use other systems, but if you could address that in that equivalency tool and if it can be embedded.
That's a wonderful question, and it is something we are exploring. I believe that Naviance, what you are referring to, is one of the platforms that's in use for the high school and beyond plan. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. Yes, thank you.
Right. So with the transition to the Universal High School and Beyond plan and the contract with School Links to roll that out in the next several years, we are exploring options with them to better embed all dual credit options, but college and the high school specifically for the purpose of this conversation, and to utilize that platform to help students better understand what dual credits have been earned, and more importantly, perhaps where they have been earned. So that's a conversation that we are engaging with the vendor, and we hope to have some functionality in that respect in the future.
All right. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody, for your comments. With that, I think dual credit is now complete.